Welcome to Frequency Matters, the RF and Microwave Update series. I'm Pat Hindle. I'm here with my co-host Gary LaRude. In this episode, we're going to continue our coverage of the January radar and antenna issue. As a reminder, the cover feature is about the design of a millimeter wave MIMO radar system. It operates at 60 gigahertz and had some aggressive goals for good range resolution and fast imaging. And they go through the design of the RFIC and the system and then develop a prototype that they measure. So it's a very thorough article, so a good one to check out. So we covered the technical features last time. How about the product features?
So we have a couple of product features. The first from Analog Devices. They have a family of 3 digitally controlled tunable filters. And these are kind of interesting. One covers VHF, UHF, one covers X-band, and then one is pretty wideband, 2 to 18 gigahertz. And the architecture of these is really interesting, the way they've put them together. So it allows a lot of flexibility in applying them to different applications. And then our second product feature is from Whirlitone. This is an impedance transforming power combiner, actually a family. They have a number of them that cover 30 megahertz up to 6 gigahertz. And I thought this was pretty novel. If you think about power amplifier designs, typically you're cascading several power devices that you then power combine to get the final output power. And usually if it's an LDMOS or GaN, it's a low impedance device, so you transform up to 50 ohms and then do the power combining. Well, their approach is the input impedance is 12.5 ohms, so you transform from the device to 12.5 ohms and then it converts to 50 ohms as it does the power combining. And they show a case study where it actually gets better power out efficiency. So I thought that was pretty novel.
Yeah, it was a good one. It was almost like an app note.
Yeah, exactly. So how about tech briefs in the issue?
So for tech briefs, we had a V-band double balanced mixer that covers the full waveguide band. That's by Hasco. And we also had a real-time modular signal processing platform that's good for rapid prototyping from Micron. So 2 good ones there.
Yeah.
So we had a special guest join us today. CEO of Sivers Semiconductors, Anders Storm, joined us to talk about their new branch in the US, their new brand, and some of the 5G millimeter wave projects that they're working on. Let's take a look at a clip from that now.
I think you announced another major contract award last month in December. Tell us about that win, what the product is, and the module that you recently released.
Had a contract with a East European company called 8 Devices. They also have a customer in the US, which is a wireless internet service provider that will use 60 gigahertz solutions. So this is the latest module that we have from 57 to 71 gigahertz that is now released very recently. And it's actually part of your latest, it's an ad in your latest magazine about it. And it's a very interesting product that covers the whole 57 to 71 gigahertz band. It has 2D beam steering, which allows for steering in vertical and horizontal mode. And it's actually very small and cost effective. We've been able to reduce the size by half compared to the previous one. We have also been able to reduce the number of antenna layers down from 10 to 4, which is very good work by the team. And we're still using the RFIC that was developed in 2018 and was won the best product in the RF show in IEEE show in Philadelphia in 2018. So we've used what we have, but also further developed the module.
So it was really great to see what Sivers Semiconductors is up to. They're involved in some very interesting 5G millimeter wave projects, so it'll be interesting to see how those turn out.
Yeah, definitely.
So turning to the news, I wanted to cover a couple of very interesting defense research projects that I saw going on. We all know that hypersonic weapons is a very active area, and DARPA has a program called Operational Fires that they're actually going to the next phase of development with Lockheed Martin. And so now they're proceeding into full-scale fabrication, assembly, and flight testing, so it'll be interesting to see their results. That's for an intermediate range hypersonic missile program.
Wow.
And then I also saw Thales. They're involved in a very ambitious program to do quantum technologies with the French government. They're spending over 1 billion euros a year on R&D, and they're going to look into quantum communications, post-quantum cryptography, and also quantum sensors. So they're looking at various technologies, and a really, really interesting area with a lot of activity, so it'll be interesting to see how that turns out too. How about the news for you?
Well, I was disappointed to see that Alphabet is letting the air out of Loon, which is their high-altitude balloon program that was trying to deliver broadband services to what they said was the last billion people on the planet without real access. And although they made tremendous technical progress, particularly in how do you get these balloons navigating around the globe and staying in place, the CEO said ultimately they couldn't figure out a business model that would make money. So they're winding it down, unfortunately. And then the second item in the news that caught my attention, as Ajit Pai leaves the FCC as chair, the FCC released its 2021 broadband report, and I was disappointed there to see that they say that 25 megabit per second down, 3 megabit per second up is adequate for telecommunication services. In fact, they said, quoting, "It enables users to originate and receive high-quality voice, data, graphics, and video telecommunications," which I think, as we've seen in this pandemic era, is not really true. And I think it's kind of ironic that we talk about claiming leadership in 5G with gigabit per second data rates, and yet with broadband to the home, we're satisfied with a 25 megabit per second data rate. So anyway, we'll see what the new administration does with that.
And so turning to events, I wanted to highlight our monthly panel sessions. In December, we covered O-RAN, and in January, we just had the evolution of the RF front-end panel. So looking ahead, for February, we are covering Wi-Fi 6E, which will be a great topic. And then in March, we're looking at flat panel beam steering arrays for SATCOM. So you can go to the events section and look under webinars to either sign up for new ones or view the others on demand.
Yeah, that's a great new program. It's coming together really well. And then we want to tell you to put February 25th on your calendars, because we're working with Mixcom on a workshop that will be held that day that will kind of cover the ecosystem of 5G millimeter wave, all the way from the semiconductor level up to the system level. So within the next week, we'll be providing more information and opening registration for that. So it should be good. And that's it for this episode. We want to thank our sponsors, RFMW. As you know, they are a pure play technical distributor, meaning they only focus on RF and microwave products, and they have most, if not all, the leading brands in the industry. And our other sponsor is Sivers Semiconductors. As you know, they are focused on the development of RFICs and front-end modules for various millimeter wave applications, from 5G to the 60 gigahertz unlicensed band. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back in a couple weeks.